Welcome to Family Law Talk. Family Law Talk. Presented by Kirk Stange of Stange Law Firm, PC. Stange Law Firm is a multi-state family law firm. Now, here's your host, Kirk Stange.
Welcome to Family Law Talk. We have an interesting topic today. The topic is, do birds of a feather flock together? Now, this episode today is based on an article on our blog at familylawheadquarters.com dated January 23rd, 2025, and the title of that article is, Do Birds of a Feather Always Flock Together in Family Law Matters? So as a follow-up to the episode today, go on over to familylawheadquarters.com and read this article on the same topic for more information. But let's go ahead and jump on in to the topic at hand today. Look, many in divorce and family law circles believe that birds of a feather fly together. Another common phrase that many in family court circles or family law circles, if you will, use is tens don't pick ones. And really the idea behind this is that litigants to divorce and family law matters are very much alike in a lot of circumstances, right? Tens don't pick ones is the idea. So if one person's saying the other person's a one, they couldn't possibly be a 10, right? So taking this a step further, if one party is acting sort of erratically or irrationally during the course of the case, lots of times courts, guardian ad litems, attorneys can believe, well, the other party is probably equally erratic and irrational. All right, sometimes if one party then is behaving in a way that's questionable or they're unusually difficult, right, they're making the divorce of the family law case hard to deal with, fair or not, lots of individuals involved in the family court process, whether this be judges, guardian ad litems, attorneys, others will think, well, the other party can't be that different, right? I mean, how different can these two individuals be? Is it possible that a 10 could pick a 1? And lots of individuals involved in the family court process just sort of begin by saying, no, it's not really possible, all right? So in breaking this topic down in a little more detail, is it accurate for family law judges and attorneys and guardian ad litems and others involved in the family court process? Is it accurate to assume that birds of a feather always fly together? And the thing I'd say to the listeners is this, which is, this question is complex, it's nuanced, it's unique to each case, and from my vantage point, it's dangerous to paint with a broad brush and always assume this or begin by assuming this. And the reality is this, which is in practicing family law a long time now, from my vantage point, it's often not true, okay? And so while, lots of individuals believe birds of a feather flock together, it's often not true. In fact, the two litigants can be quite different, all right? But look, sometimes they can be the same, all right? Sometimes they can be similar. And again, every circumstance, every case is different, but if there was a long-term relationship between two individuals, they were together for a long time before they got married or before they had kids, right? Perhaps it's more likely in that kind of circumstance that these two individuals involved in the divorce or family law litigation are very similar, right? They were together a long time. They went through a lot together. Again, this isn't absolute, but the longer term the relationship was before the marriage or before the birth of a child, then practically speaking, the more likely it can be that the two individuals are very similar, all right? But anybody who's been involved in family law litigation knows that opposites can sometimes attract, right? Sometimes parties get married or they have kids quick. It could even be a situation of a whirlwind romance. And believe this or not, sometimes individuals have one-night stands, and this results in kids being born. And then these individuals end up in the family court. And in these types of situations where the two parties were not together long, they didn't date long, they just got involved in a quick, fast romance, and a pregnancy ensued. And then later they split up and they end up in the divorce or family court. In a lot of these circumstances, the parties might be very different. In other words, they are not the same birds, right? They were opposites, they attracted, and now they've split up. And maybe it's not fair to lump these two together as being similar in personality and really similar in terms of their parenting or their values or their outlook on life, all right? Another circumstance which I've seen in the family court is this, which is that people can change, right? It could be a circumstance where the parties were very similar in terms of their outlook, in terms of what they wanted in life, in terms of their demeanor, in terms of their stability, right? In terms of their values. But then over time, something happened, right? And we've all, probably known individuals who simply grew apart, right? Or in some circumstances, one party might have what's called a midlife crisis. I'm sure most of the listeners have heard this term before. It could be a circumstance where one of the parties has declining mental or physical health, or maybe their life goals have just totally changed. So maybe at the time of the marriage or at the time of the birth of the children, the parties were very similar, but over the course of time, it could be a situation where the parties are now very different, even if they were very similar at the time they picked each other to get married or have kids, okay? And so for a lot of individuals, they're going through a divorce or family law matter, they feel different than the other party. They don't view themselves as being very similar to the party that they're either divorcing or going through a family law case with. And in fact, in a lot of ways, some individuals, and I've talked to many, clients through the years that sort of have this philosophy, which is, wow, what did I do? How did I get involved with this person? And if I could do it all over again, I might have moved a little bit slower, but I didn't, and I can't do it over again. So it is what it is. So look, if you think you're a different kind of bird than the other party, and you don't really want to be lumped in, is flocking together with them at this point in your life, the question is, what do you do? Maybe you don't want to squabble with the other party. Maybe you don't want disputes with them. Maybe you would love to get along with them and move on with your lives with the understanding that your lives are going to be very different. But maybe the other party doesn't want to do that. Maybe they ultimately, are interested in squabbles either consciously or subconsciously, or maybe they're upset that the one party doesn't want to be with them anymore. And so that results in squabbles and disdain and anger or something like that. So, look, if you're a party and you're going through a divorce or family law matter and you're worried that you're being associated, lumped in, they're seeing the other party and they're going to view you as the same. What do you do to differentiate yourself and show the judge, the guardian ad litem, others involved in the court process? What do you do to show them that you're a different kind of bird, okay? Look, first of all, there's not easy and simple answers, okay? But be patient, be calm, be level-headed in everything you do or say. Hoping that eventually the family court or the guardian ad litem will eventually see it, right? So time. Over the course of time, sometimes the others involved in the process really need to see this manifest itself over time, all right, to see that you are a different kind of bird, all right? Seeing a counselor can be a good thing if you're having this kind of frustration. Staying out of needless squabbles, right? Being above the fray. Right, soaring like an eagle and not soaring down with the birds that fly at a lower altitude can be a good thing as best as possible. This is obviously very hard, all right? Being very careful with anything put in writing, right? If you're putting something in writing, make sure there's not anger and emotions and these kinds of things, right? And more than anything, just focus on the kid's best interest, and everything that you do can be really, really vital, all right? One other final tip I have for individuals who want to make sure that others see in the court system that they're a different kind of bird who's actually interested in getting along, which is be smart with the attorney you choose to hire you in your divorce or family law case, all right? It's very critical in these types of cases to have a lawyer who believes in you and who can explain to the family court or the guardian ad litem that you're a different kind of bird. You're not like the other, right? You're very different. And so that might mean meeting multiple lawyers before settling on one to ensure that you have a lawyer who fully believes in you, all right? It can be very, very important in these types of circumstances. Look, in some divorces, parties still concede they're very much the same. They don't view themselves as very different. They're just not going to be together anymore. But in some cases, when parties are going through a divorce or family law matter, the worry is that they're not much like the other person, and they worry that they're being sort of treated with a broad brush and painted is the same as the other when that's not really the case. So, these kinds of circumstances, a party definitely has to be very careful. The truth is that some parties are very different going through divorce and family law matters. They're not the same. I don't know if 10s don't pick 1s, but it is possible that 8s pick 4s or 7s pick 5s, 6 pick 4s. This is all very possible. And it's not always a situation where 1's picking a 1 or 10's picking a 10. Be nice if it was that simple in the family court, but the truth of the matter is that it's usually not the case. Sometimes 1s can pick 1s and 10s can pick 10s. But ultimately, just because one party's a 1, it doesn't mean the other party's a 1 too. Or if one party's a 3, the other party's a 3 too. And so, be patient, be calm, be smart with your lawyer choice, and be smart in everything you do or say throughout the process. And the hope is that the court and the GAL will eventually see it. All right. So that's the episode today. This is a follow-up. Go on over to familylawheadquarters.com. Read the article titled "Do Birds of a Feather Always Fly Together in Family Law Matters?" This article will give you more information on this topic. But thanks for tuning in today. Stay tuned to our next episode of Family Law Talk coming up. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to Family Law Talk with Kirk Stange. Visit StangeLawFirm.com for more about today's topic or to put Stange Law Firm to work for your family today. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements. Neither the Supreme Court of Missouri or Illinois reviews or approves certifying organizations or specialist designations. The information you obtained in this podcast is not, nor is it intended to be, legal advice. You should consult an attorney for advice regarding your individual situation. We invite you to contact us and welcome your calls, letters, and electronic mail. Contacting us does not create an attorney-client relationship. Please do not send any confidential information to us until such time as an attorney-client relationship has been established. Past results afford no guarantee of future results, and every case is different and must be judged on its own merits. Kirk Stange is responsible for the content. Headquarters, Office 120 South Central Avenue, Suite 450, Clayton, Missouri 63105. Kirk Stange is licensed in Missouri, Illinois, and Kansas.